How does it affect you when you read a poem that you've forgotten? Is it like reading something written by someone else?
Well, this time I was just faking it because, for the purposes of continuity, I had to read this poem, but I hadn't read it for some time, and I left out a verse, and I'd forgotten the meaning of the whole poem.
Does this in any way disturb you? Isn't every poem a part of you as a poet?
Well, it doesn't disturb me because I don't think anything was at stake. But I think that the message comes through, with the body, with the eyes and the voice. You could really be reading the instructions from a shoe polish can.
What's the point of writing poetry then, if you could just as well read instructions on how to polish your shoes?
Well, it depends. If you want shiny shoes, then you want to. If you want people to have shiny shoes, you want to write those kind of very good instructions. And if you want to polish other parts of yourself, you do it with poetry.
How can you relate the writing or the creating of a work of art with an act of polishing shoes?
Well, I don't know. It depends how far you're looking. It depends exactly where you've got your binoculars trained. If you stand far enough away, it's probably the same thing. You know the story of that juggler who performed his acrobatics and plate balancing in front of a statue of the Virgin? Well, I think it really comes down to that. You really do what sings.
Is that the key to your diversity?
I'm all in one place.
Well, I don't know. You may seem so to yourself, but you must admit that for other people looking at you, Leonard Cohen, the poet, the novelist, the man who lives in a white house on the island of Hydra, scion of a Jewish family from Montreal, pop singer and writer of pop songs, all of these things, they may certainly add up to Leonard Cohen, but they do look rather complex at first.
Well, I think that, the borders have faded between a lot of endeavors, and people are no longer, I think, capable of those kind of poses, like the poet, on the mountain with the cape, and or the singer, sort of catering to the masses. All those kinds of expression, I think, are completely meaningless. They don't mean anything to me. It's just a matter of what your hand falls on. And if you can make what your hand falls on sing, then you can just do it. I mean, if someone offered me a building to design now, I'd take it up. If someone offered me a small country to govern, I'd take it. Anything going, I'd like to try.
Does the fact that maybe the building you designed would fall down, or the country that you were trying to govern would turn into chaos have anything,
No,
do you feel badly about this?
Well, I don't think the building would fall down, and I have perhaps an arrogant dream that the country would. Well, I knew a fellow who was trying to take over a country. He's a friend of mine in England. He's the head of a large Negro movement there, and he will probably take over a country soon. And I asked him, what the purpose of his government will be, and he said, well, it will be to protect the people from government, because they're just fine as they are. Just let them alone, and my government will just keep everything away. And I really think that things are a lot more substantial than we think. And I think that my building would probably last, well, it would be the kind of building that was either designed to last or fall down, depending on the needs of the people who live inside. I mean, some people may want a building to collapse over them at a specific time. A friend of mine designed a mural for a coffee shop in Montreal with a special glue on it. And this glue dried every winter, and the mural fell to pieces. And he would have to be engaged every winter to repair the mural. And he said that, cars are designed with built-in obsolescence. Why not murals?
What about poetry?
Well, I think that history and time pretty well builds obsolescence into poetry, unless it's really the great stuff. And you never know whether you're really hitting that.
Don't you ever?
Sometimes you know about it. Sometimes it has that kind of ring. But I'm not interested in posterity, which is a kind of, somebody said, a kind of paltry form of eternity. I'd really like to write poetry. I'd like to see the headlines, like instead of the Spencer case, something like town finishes painting today. You know, I'd like the stuff I do to have that kind of horizontal immediacy rather than something that is going to be around for a long time. I'm not interested in an insurance plan for my work.